Spare Pants is a part of the Flyby Pants project. For more information, please visit www.flybypants.com. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Hi guys, welcome to my newest episode of Spare Pants. In today's episode I'm going to be talking about books again, because reading is literally my favourite thing, and as I'm recording this, the UK is on the brink of another lockdown, so if you're bored, then you might want to read some of these books. I'm going to be chatting about my favourite psychological and crime thrillers, because in my opinion it's the best genre. I like books that you literally can't put down. I always get that with crime thrillers. I have recently discovered books written by Cara Hunter, and they are incredible. These books are a series centred around the policeman D.I. Adam Fawley. Although it's a series, you can read the books on their own. The first one of hers I read was Close to Home. It features the disappearance of Daisy Mason, who went missing at a family party in a normal, family-friendly neighbourhood. It has so many twists and turns, and it was written so well. The next book I read by Cara Hunter was All the Rage. This starts off when a teenage girl is found wandering the streets, and she appears to have been assaulted. She's really confused and disorientated, and then another girl disappears. This book has so many characters and stories, and as we all know, when there are crime cases in the media, a lot of people tend to post stuff on social media and they tweet things. And one thing I love about this author is that she includes tweets that people would actually write. And she also includes little maps of the crime scene. So you can really imagine the scene that happened, and I'd really recommend her books. One of the most emotional thrillers I have ever read is Found by Erin Kinsley. So 11-year-old Evan goes missing and there is zero evidence. There's no CCTV, no one knows where he's gone. He is then found a month later, completely by accident, but he is refusing to speak. Not gonna lie, I may have shed a tear when reading this book. It was written so well, and it made me feel really emotional for all the people that go missing, and I feel so sorry for their families, and it kind of makes you angry that someone could actually abduct a child. It's horrible. A big topic for crime fans is whether or not a murderer can change their ways, especially if a young person, even a child, is a killer. The Flower Girls was a really amazing read, but also kind of traumatic. It is about two sisters, one who was 10 years old and the other who was 6. Something terrible happens, so they are given new identities, and they're separated. Slightly off topic, but I listen to True Crime Cast. It's my favourite true crime podcast. And they talked about the horrifying James Bulger case. And after listening to that episode, I'm in two minds about whether someone who commits murder or who commits a horrible crime should be allowed to be reintroduced into society. So in this book, The Flower Girls, with one of the sisters given the potential of parole, they'll be reunited. And this book is set in 2 time zones, so it's set in the past when this horrible event happened and in the present. I read this book really quickly and it was amazing. Ellie Griffith's books are a perfect mixture of crime and history. I read The Crossing Places and I recently finished another one of her books as well. The series is about an archaeologist called Dr. Ruth Galloway, who occasionally helps the police with investigations. Similarly to Cara Hunter's books, this is a series, but I don't think you need to read them in order at all. I'm just really reading them as I buy them, mainly because I'm a cheapskate and I like to buy my books in charity shops as and when I see them. One thing about these books is that they do have quite a lot of historical terminology. So as I was reading, I was like, what the fuck does that word mean? And I had to look it up. But it wasn't an issue at all. The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley is a bestseller, and I can totally see why. This book was lent to me, and it's one of the best books I've read this year. So, picture a group of posh mates who rent a house for New Year's. How fun does that sound? I don't have enough friends to do that. But that'll be such fun New Year's plans. But yeah, they rent this massive house in this secluded area, and then someone dies. The characters are all really different and interesting, and the main synopsis is basically like who you can and can't trust, and like whether or not you can trust your friends, that kind of thing. So imagine a book where there's a woman with the perfect life, perfect job, house, husband and family, until another woman comes into the picture and essentially fucks her life up. This is pretty much the synopsis of Behind Closed Doors by Sadie Ryan. Now, I often see a theme when it comes to psychological thrillers, and quite often it is the storyline of another woman coming into the picture and stirring shit. However, this book was so well written that it wasn't like a repetitive story at all, and it's really, really short. So if you are looking to get into this kind of genre, you haven't read this style of book before, this book would be a great place to start, and you could easily read it in a day or so. Now, I don't want to mention crime books without talking about Agatha Christie. I did talk about her in my other book episode that I've done, but I'm going to talk about her again. I've read so many of her books, and it's hard to just pick up one particular favourite as they're all amazing. But if I had to choose a few to talk about, it would be And Then There Were None, which is like a group of people who go to this island off the coast and people start dying. The Body in the Library, which is there's this like big stately home and the body of a young woman is found in the library. And then there's 450 from Paddington. So a woman is on the train and she looks at the opposing train, like coming on the opposite side, and she sees a woman getting strangled by a man, and she freaks out. She's like, oh my god, I just saw someone getting strangled. These books are all really good. Lisa Jewell is an author that has become very popular recently. I think pretty much all of her books have become bestsellers. The Family Upstairs is an amazing read. All about a huge posh mansion in Chelsea, where I think 20 years prior, loads of bodies were found there. It's a really good book. However, my favourite of Lisa Jewell's books has to be Then She Was Gone. This is all about a woman named Laurel, whose youngest daughter Ellie has been missing for years. Laurel then randomly meets this charismatic stranger in a coffee shop. And when she meets his 9-year-old daughter, she is the complete spitting image of Laurel's missing daughter Ellie. This book was incredible, and I know I sound like I cry at everything, which I kind of do, but this book did make me cry as well. There's this bit in the end, and it made me so emotional. I read The Accident by C.L. Taylor, and again, it was amazing. I've literally said that about every single book today. It's about a woman whose daughter deliberately walks in front of a bus and gets into a coma. The main protagonist is called Sue, and after this event, her perfect world is shattered. She's wondering, why did my daughter do this? There must be a reason for it. What I found quite weird is that this book is centred in and around Brighton, where I live. So, the author mentions these pubs and these streets, and I'm like, I've been to that pub. It was quite funny. And I can really picture it in my head. Another notable mention by this author is The Missing. So, a 50-year-old boy named Billy goes missing, and it's all about family secrets and dramas. It's a very good read. How the Dead Speak is by Val McDermid, and it was a really great read. Now, I have attempted to read Val McDermid's books before, and I think I gave up one of them because I just got a bit bored. But now that I've finished and really enjoyed this one, I'm definitely going to read the rest of her books. In this book, loads of human remains are found at an old convent when it is being dug up for building works. And then some more bodies are found. But are they linked? The characters in this book were all really interesting, and I love the way they describe the crime scenes and the investigation. It felt very realistic. And not gonna lie, nuns kind of creep me out anyway. Imagine being stuck in a convent with loads of nuns, that gives me the creeps. And this book made that fear a little bit worse, but I would really recommend it. Do Not Disturb by Claire Douglas was a super creepy read. It's about a family who moves to the Welsh mountains to run a bed and breakfast, and then some spooky things start happening. The neighbours are all really suspicious and they're really standoffish, and it's so good. And this book is relatively short, which I liked, and although I'm not usually a huge fan of horror stuff, it was a 10 out of 10. It was really good. Perfect Liars by Rebecca Reed is about a group of 3 friends who were all at boarding school together 16 years prior, and something awful happened when they were there. They kept it all a secret, and now one of them wants to talk about it. This book is mainly centred at one night at one of their dinner parties that one of them's hosting, and I like the fact that all the characters, they all had completely different stories and personalities. It made it a really exciting read. I would totally recommend reading The Surrogate by Louise Jensen. It's about a woman, Kat, who's been desperately trying for a baby with her husband Nick, and it just isn't happening. I think they've tried IVF and loads of treatments and it just isn't working for them. And then Kat runs into an old childhood friend who might be able to give her the child she most desperately wants, but things don't go to plan. I think this has got all the good things a psychological thriller should have. A great storyline, interesting characters, and you just can't stop reading it. The last book I'm going to mention today is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I can't work out how you say his name. This is about a woman called Alice, who has not spoken a word in 5 years, after she randomly shot her husband in the head. She seemed to have this perfect life, nothing was going wrong in her life, and she randomly, for no apparent reason, just shot her husband in the head. This was mainly centred in a psychiatric hospital, a psychiatric home place, and I haven't read a book in that setting before, which made it super exciting for me to read. Not only that, but this book has tons of twists and turns, especially at the end. You think it's going a certain way, and then you get to the end and you're like, fuck, I was not expecting that. And I would recommend it to everyone. Thank you for listening. My episodes are out on the 14th of every month. If there are any books you think I would enjoy, please let me know. I'm always happy to read some more books. I'm trying to read 50 books this year, and I've got 13 to go. I think I can do it. I've got 2 months. I think I can do it. But you can contact me at flo@flybypants.com or my Insta, which is f.mcatty. And make sure to listen to mine and my friend Andy's podcast, Flandy. It's actually going weekly now, which is really exciting. We're doing it every fortnight, but now it's going to go weekly, which is really fun. But it's so much fun to record and listen to. So we started off and it was just current events, stuff in the news. And although we are kind of still doing that, most of the time we just chat about random topics, which is really fun.